Let's talk about organizations and how they're structured. Sometimes it's hard to know who you answer to or who should be giving you directions. Now, the organizational chart or the organizational flow is what helps you to understand who you report to and who has authority over you. Now, at the very top of the organization is the owner, or sometimes the individual who's in charge is referred to as a president, or it can also be a chief executive officer, CEO. Now, this individual is the one who's focused on working with the board of directors if it is a public company, or they work with the owners directly if it's a private company, and they make sure that the organization is carrying out the mission, that they're adhering to the values, and that they are going to achieve the vision that has been set forth. So these individuals are at a very high level and they're making very high level decisions. Now, below them are what we tend to call vice presidents, or for example, a vice president of finance is the individual who handles cash flows in and out of the organization. And then you might have a vice president of accounting who handles all of the accounting and reporting. Then you might have a vice president of information technology, and this individual handles all of the computer work. So these vice presidents oversee very specific departments or functions within the organization. Now, below them, you may have some middle managers. These are individuals who report back to the vice presidents, but are in supervisory roles. We hear the word manager or supervisor or director typically in these positions. And then below them are the individuals who are actually carrying out the work and getting the work done. Now, quite often we see organizations broken down into different departments based on different areas. So it's not uncommon to have an organization that has an accounting department, and the accounting department sometimes will include the finance department also. Accounting deals with what has occurred in the past as far as the financial information for the organization, and the accounting department is also responsible for all taxation. So they have a very important role because the government will shut you down if you are not paying your taxes. So they are responsible for tracking all money that's coming into the organization and keeping record of where the money is spent. Now, the finance department is actually looking for sources of cash and deciding how best to invest the cash, either to grow the organization or to pay back investors or to give their employees a raise so that they possibly perform better and are more productive. Then we have the information technology group. They're the group that is focused on computers, and they are working on all of the software and hardware that is keeping the organization running. Then we have the group that we call human resources. Human resources is everything about the employees. It's the process of creating jobs within the organization. It's the process of advertising these jobs to the general public. It's the process of interviewing and hiring, and then once individuals are hired, what benefits they will receive, how much they will be compensated. Also, human resources typically keeps the annual or semi-annual evaluations that are done for employees, as far as giving the employees some feedback on how they're doing. If you run into any issues with a fellow employee, typically you report this to someone in the Human Resources Department who will then open an investigation on the matter. So Human Resources has a very wide variety of tasks that they're responsible for, but the thing to remember is they are responsible for anything having to do with employees. We will then typically have a marketing department. Marketing is focused on advertising the product. How do we get the product out to our customers? How do we package the product? How do we present the product? How do we send a message about the value of the product to someone who might be interested? So the marketing department has a very important role in that they are selling or creating desire or demand for the good. The last department that we'll talk about is the operations department. The operations department is actually where it all happens. It's where the good or service is put together. So that's where all the production occurs. Obviously, without the operations, there would be no business. So it is an incredibly important function and should not be taken lightly. Typically, the operations, the individual who's in charge of operations will be called the Chief Operational Officer, and this is a very important role and requires someone with a lot of skill as far as motivating employees, but who also is very good at carrying out the company's mission, vision, and value statement. So all of this put together creates the organization. Now, how many divisions or departments an organization has really kind of depends on the organization. Let's say it's an automotive mechanic shop. Well, there's probably going to be one or two office people and then the actual shop mechanics and maybe one supervisor. So how large the organization is and the different functions that the organization performs really dictates how many people will be involved or how many different departments there will be in the organization. I hope this is helpful information for you.